right, we are here at my outdoor urban worm bag, and we are going to be checking in on this worm bin after 14 days. And check this out right there. Can you see that? We've got a little bit of mold or fungus growing right there. Check it out. The only issue with checking after 14 days is we kind of gave them a 3-week feeding, so I wouldn't be surprised if we find a whole lot of food scraps and some other stuff that we usually don't see in our worm bin if we check on it after 3 weeks. So right away we're already seeing quite a few worms, and it's a real moist layer down here, so I'm pretty happy about that. And I have been using those water bottles you saw me pull out and my spray bottle to kind of keep this bin cool and to keep it moist. So it looks like it has been doing its job, and check it out. Bunch of worms right there, probably getting in right where the moisture is. And one of the things that we did last time was we put in a, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm looking at all these worms underneath all this bedding here. This is going to be really cool. So yeah, last time we put a sensor, a temperature sensor, right under the feeding, and that was pretty cool because the first few days it was heating up pretty quick, and the temperature on the outside, which you saw the sensor there, was less than what you saw down below. But then after a few days, the temperature up here would get warmer than down there. So I'm not sure why this is in here. Probably just came in with the food scraps. So let's continue to kind of pull this apart here. And you know what? Let's go ahead and review what we fed last time. So first we put down some shredded cardboard, and then we placed the temperature gauge on the top of that, followed by some more shredded cardboard. Then we dumped leftover salad mix from our son's graduation party on top, followed by a very fuzzy mystery block of, I think, frozen strawberries. We also put in some shrimp shells, so it'll be interesting to see if they are gone. And we put in 2 big kale stalks from my garden. Next, we dumped in a whole bunch of normal food scraps like strawberry tops, apple cores, avocado shells, a big cauliflower stalk, and a potato. And then we topped it off with Brussels sprout leaves to see if they take as long as the kale leaves took. And of course, we added our worm chow, coffee grounds, and eggshell grit, along with damp shredded cardboard and various big intact cardboard and paper bedding items. So as we're going through here, I'm not seeing any of the kale, and I think we put that right on top, but let's see if it's below the shredded cardboard layer, and things are looking good. Oh man, we are really catching them in the act, and I think that right there is probably the kale. I think any sign of those broccoli, actually they weren't kale leaves, they were Brussels sprout leaves. And check this out. Let's just kind of go in here. It seems like the worms are liking it. They're definitely tunneling in and out. And oh my gosh, there's a pile of worms right in there. Oh, wow. This is like a jungle gym for them. Holy mackerel. Well, look at that. That is what the inside of a Brussels sprout, no, a kale stem looks like. It almost feels like a marshmallow in there. No wonder the worms go for that. That is pretty cool. Wow. And they must have eaten from here all the way up because they are all over it. And they're even, I think, laying cocoons. Wow. That is really cool. If you have kale stems from your garden, go ahead and put them in the worm bin. Man, that was really neat. I think we put one more in here, so we'll be looking for that. But yeah, clearly we are in the middle of a feeding that normally would have lasted 3 weeks, or shoot, maybe even a month, because this is crazy in here. I'm definitely gonna have to feed them less, kind of mix them around. I really don't want to go too much deeper than this temperature gauge that we see right here, because I want to kind of layer it up as we go, and we're not even anywhere close to the top here. But let's look at that. Oh yeah, it is still sealed, no air holes, so that is good. So none of the worms are trying to get into it, and it is keeping the humidity out, which is good for the batteries. So we are definitely going to replace this on the bottom of the feeding zone, but we are going to keep doing some exploring here because this is really, really cool. I usually check in on my worm bins and they are ready to be fed, but this one clearly is in the middle of feeding. Oh my gosh, I cannot get all these worms off. Ah! All right, there we go. All right, let's keep digging in and kind of go through the sides. Oh yeah, right there. Now, it really did not feel too much warmer down the center as compared to the sides, and would you look at that? This bin really has a lot of worms. I don't even realize it when I come in, but when it's this much food left over, you can really tell. Wow, they love kale stalks. Very cool. Let me get ahead and keep pulling around from the sides. That'll be good because we'll mix all this up as well. So any of the long-term foods get kind of mixed up, and any short-term foods also haven't been eaten can get mixed up. And yeah, wow, this right here is the western side. It doesn't get direct sun because I have a little bit of a shade on it, but it is usually the side that is heated up the most, and I really don't feel too much heat there, which is good. And you know, obviously the worms aren't minding it either. Now, right before we did the video, it was 94 degrees right in here and 89 at that sensor right there, so not too bad. I don't really like to see 94 up here, but it's kind of the air mass, and it's kind of reflecting what the outside temperature is. So this worm bin does kind of modulate the temperature, and it doesn't vary as much deep down in here as it does kind of right up here in this area. This felt like an avocado, but really it's just a bunch of mushed up bedding. Oh, there we go. It is a cardboard paper towel. Wow, pretty interesting. I mean, it just rips so easy, and the worms clearly love hiding in and out of it. That's cool. All right, let's keep going here. Let me move this stuff over. Some avocado shells. I am going to attempt to kind of put all the bedding underneath where we're going to feed, and then we'll put new bedding on, but I definitely want to get to this other side here and do a little bit of a check in there. There we go. Wow. Oh man, worms everywhere. You know, I always said I had somewhere around 5,000 in here, but if we're thinking about how deep it is, I'm about halfway, and the whole urban worm bag is about 3 feet off the ground. Yeah, I would say that easily we've got somewhere between 6,000 to 8,000 in here. Pretty cool. Oh boy, I don't even want to mess with this too much. This is the seed potato that I put in here. Oh, if I were to bust this open, it would really smell. And I don't know if you can tell. I'll see if I can bring it up to the camera here. That right there is a potworm. So you see these tiny little worms that are white like that? Those are potworms. Oops, right there. A baby is pink from the get-go. So if you're wondering, you see little worms like that, those are potworms. And it's okay to have potworms in your bin. If you have a ton and they're all over your food and you're seeing a lot more of those that you haven't seen before, then you may be overfeeding. I wouldn't say potworms on that is an overfeeding situation, but just to be aware, not too much to worry about, just kind of an indicator for you. So feels like down here we're to kind of a castings level, so I'm going to leave that alone. And let's, ooh, avocado with a pit in it. Let's see if we can, you know what? They haven't got all the flesh out, so I'm going to leave these worms alone. And let's go ahead and kind of flatten this out, and we'll build up our feeding zone. We'll just kind of put this right here. Check it out. This is a lot. This is a lot of bedding. Odd bedding, I should say. So I probably am not going to need to put a bunch of odd bedding in this time around. But I do want to get kind of the food stuff there and the kale stem. And oh, I broke up the potato or a potato. So let's hurry up and kind of set things up right here. All right, there we go. So first thing we'll go in with is we'll put in a bunch of shredded cardboard in here, and check out that Clearwater Marine Aquarium. They are just about to get manatees. So if you're anywhere in the Tampa Clearwater area, go ahead and stop by there. That is one of my favorite places to go, and if you come to the beach and it's raining, definitely a good place to stop in to see. All right, next I'm just going to put some extra sourdough starter that I had. I'll just kind of put that on top. It seemed to go pretty well in my last bin. I'm not going to bunch it up, but put it in just like that. There we go. It's very sticky. So let's put our temperature sensor in before I forget, and we'll start with these food scraps right here. I think I'm just going to place them individually. Put some watermelon, some stalks, some peppers, broccoli, all our favorites. Got some more avocado shells. Oh boy, that's a pear. I think we've got some shrimp shells in here, so we'll just kind of spread it out and dump it out. And it's got some liquid because I freeze all my food and then I thaw it out a little bit. And now we're going to put in something I have never put into any of my worm bins, and that is an article of clothing. I know you've seen it go into worm bins from other channels, but I'm going to give it a try for the first time. This is not something that I'm going to keep coming back to. I really want to see how long it's going to take to go all the way down and out to the castings of the urban worm bag. All right, I got to be very judicious here so that I don't overfeed, and so I make sure I'm still in the good graces of the executive producer, but I'll keep going until she tells me to quit. Oh, there's a banana, a tangerine here. Ooh, another piece of watermelon right there. They're gonna love it. And maybe some strawberry tops and apple cores on the sock, just like that. Oh, shrimp shells, I think I'm gonna skip them. We'll refreeze this and put it in another worm bin. We still good to go?
Yeah.
All right, good. Oh, more shrimp shells. I think that may be my indicator to stop. We'll save those for another worm bin. I think this is probably enough food. I hate to have to do this because it looks so pretty, but we're going to put our worm chow right on top, just like that. And I'm glad that the worms aren't bothered by that temperature sensor in there, so I'll just put their food right on top like that. And now we'll go in with some coffee, and I'm going to put a bunch in just because it's a lighter food scrap feeding. I feel like I can put some more of this in here without it being a problem. And normally with coffee grounds, you kind of got to be careful that it doesn't heat things up because they have so much surface area and they can really heat up a pile of food that's kind of put in the center. But we are actually going to bring this urban worm bag inside between feedings because we've got a little bit of a trip planned. All right, so we finished up there with our eggshell grit, and then I'm just going to put in some more shredded cardboard just like that. And then because it's so hot and I've put all this in dry, I'm going to go ahead and spray it down. Maybe I should have soaked the bedding before we started instead of using this sprayer. All right, one more thing I'm gonna do, and you saw me do this in the outdoor worm bin, is I'm gonna put in these big ice cube balls, and what they will do is slowly release their moisture down, and that will be very helpful for all this dry bedding I put in. And we still have some watermelon showing over here. I know the worms will get to it, but I just kind of want to cover it up, and I'll put that on it as well. And then I liked how that newspaper worked. I was able to put the water bottles right on top of it without worrying too much if there were worms right there. Also made it easier for me to see the worms. So I think that will do it. And if you're kind of new to worm farming and you're just seeing this video, you might want to check out this video right here where I start off a brand new worm bin and show you just how little food you need to feed worms. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope your worm bins are doing fantastic. So happy vermicomposting, everybody. Take care now. Actually, they weren't kale leaves, they were broccoli. Actually, they weren't kale leaves, they were Brussels. Actually, they weren't kale leaves, they were, oh my God.